To check if the seed is taken, we can again create a method that returns true or false. And we need to pass the row and column as arguments. Again, we will pass the seed row as a string and convert it to an integer later. So let's create a method, and it's going to be a public that returns a boolean. And I'll call it isSeedTaken. So as arguments, we will pass the seed information, so it's gonna be a string, row, I'll call it seed row, and string, and I'll call it seed column. And to see if any passenger already has the seed, we can loop through the list of all passengers and see if any of the passengers has a row and column combination that matches the one that we are passing into this method. But instead of using a loop, I'm going to use a Lambda expression with a where predicate. So I will create a variable that will hold the result of the expression. So it's gonna be a variable, and I'll call it isTaken, and it will equal. And how do we create the Lambda expression? Well, we are looping through all the passengers. So we need to bring in the passengers list from the reservations form. Remember, that list is static, so we can access it directly without instantiating a new instance of the form. So we can use frm reservations dot, and if I start typing passengers, you can see that it is available to me. So I have the list available directly. So now we are accessing the whole list, and we can filter the results using the where clause. So we are looping through the list, where, and you can see that it filters the sequence of values based on a predicate. And we want to filter or find only the one passenger that has the same seed row and the seed column as the one that we are verifying. So after the where clause, we will enter those conditions using the Lambda syntax. So I'll use P as passenger goes into, and we are looking for the seed row, so it goes into p.seedRow. And we are checking if this row for the passenger equals the seed row that we are passing into this method. But remember, the passenger seed is an integer and the argument is a string, so we need to convert it to an integer as well. So we will use the convert dot to integer 32 and wrap it into brackets. So we will convert the seed row into an integer and see if the passenger on the list has the same seed row. Now, we don't need to validate if the seed row is in fact an integer, because at this point it will already be verified elsewhere in the code. So we know that a valid integer is being passed as argument here. So we checked if the seed row matches the argument, and we do the same for the column. So we will add AND statement and see if the p.seedColumn equals the seed column that is being passed as the argument. But just like we did before, we want to make sure that we are comparing the same letter casing, so we can convert both to the upper to make sure of that. So I will check if the seed column, when converted to upper, equals the seed column argument converted to upper. Now, what we want to actually assign to the isTaken variable is the count of all passengers that meet the condition. If no passenger was found with this seed, then the seed is not taken, and we can return false, meaning no, the seed is not taken. If anything other than 0 was returned, and in our case it would be just the value of 1 because only one passenger can hold the seed, then we return true, meaning yes, the seed is taken. And we can do the return statement using a simple conditional statement, but rather than doing it in an if statement, I'm going to use so-called ternary operator. But first, in our Lambda expression, at the end, we want to add the count. So we will do dot count. So this will return the count of all passengers that have the same seed row and column as the one that is being passed into the method. So it could be either 0 or 1. And now we can do the return statement, so we will return, and like I said, we can do the ternary operator, so we will check if the is taken has the value of 0, and if that's the case, then we'll return false, again meaning that the seed is not taken. Otherwise, if it's anything other than 0, in our case 1, then the seed is taken and we return true. Alright, next let's do the method that queries the passengers by name.